Yeah, I'm not going to get rid of it, but I do think it needs to be shortened up a little bit.
I
I
don't know.
think.
I kind of like it.
I mean, I'm trying to account for all of you who have to watch ads when the live start. So we're not all cut off and you don't go, what did they just say?
Yeah.
Because believe me, the first thing we say is the most important thing we say all show long.
Oh my gosh, we're in trouble then.
Yeah, I hope that's not true. So, what are we talking about today, Ray?
Well, I think the lead in was in its entirety. That looked like an autonomous driving vehicle that was having a tough time staying in its lane. But I believe we could be talking about something along those lines today.
See, now to me, that looked more like someone texting and driving,
Okay, that could
trying to
be.
stay in their lanes.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so it looked like to me. So that's what we're talking about today. What is safer, autonomous driving,
yeah.
or I know I related this story to you, Ray. Last time I went down to L.A., I went down at nighttime, which I don't usually leave here at nighttime
Uh huh.
because it's a long drive. It's about 7-hour drive, and I get tired when I'm driving by myself.
Yeah, as well you
But
should.
going down at night,
Uh
I
huh.
got to see inside everybody's car. And I could see inside everybody's car because they had iPads glued to their dashboards that they were watching movies on, or they had a screen. Someone had a phone holder literally in front of the steering wheel on the windshield, and they were watching a movie
Mm,
while they were driving.
yes.
So that kind of got me like, I think I'd rather take my chances with the computer driving
Yeah.
than to be behind or near one of these people who are literally watching movies at night while
Yeah.
so you got this blue light in your face. You're watching a movie in the middle of the night while you're driving. Like that's just insane to me. And anyone who's in California who knows the drive from Northern California to Southern California on I-5 knows that you're going about 20, 25 miles an hour over the speed limit already.
Mm-hmm.
And a 2-lane highway with all kinds of potholes and trucks pulling in, especially in the middle of the night. You got the big rigs moving out and doing the shipping all through there. So yeah, that's the scenario that I was going down to LA in. And I just thought, man, I'd rather be on here with autonomous driving. So
Okay, and I would say that I would rather be on the road with humans driving that are, well, I don't know, actually driving and not watching movies or texting or any of those things. And wouldn't it be great if there was some way that phones or iPads or whatever could determine that you were inside an automobile while it's moving and make those inoperable so that the person driving would actually, I don't know, have to pay attention. I would feel, I just think a human being who's actually paying attention to what's going on the road around him can react more quickly and more favorably than a computer program. I mean, you've driven for a number of years. I've been driving for 56 years, and you scan everything around you. You try to predict based on what you're seeing in front of you. You try to predict what somebody is going to do, and you prepare yourself for that. And I don't know that artificial intelligence can do that quite yet.
well, so my pushback on that would be you can scan, right? You can look in your rearview mirror, you can look at your side views,
Yeah,
you can look ahead of you, you can do all of that. The computer's doing all that simultaneously and
yeah,
behind you, and there's no blind spots. And and all this stuff. I will say this about my Model 3. There's a blind spot that you can fit a Ram 1500 in
okay,
on my driver's side. But if I click on my blinker, of course, all the cameras turn on, and there are no blind spots because I can see everything. So
yes,
in that regards, the computer is always looking at all of that. We can debate whether you should have eyesight like Tesla's or LiDAR like literally everybody else.
Uh-huh.
Um, but the computer's looking at everything all the time. There are many videos. Yes, there are many videos of Teslas hitting mannequins, but there are also lots of videos of real time Teslas avoiding accidents. There's a channel I watch called Wham Bam Tesla Cam. If anybody out there has seen it, it's fun. It uses all the Tesla dash cam footage from around the car and just sort of shows all the situations. And so many times the car reacts. I even saw one yesterday. The car reacted and pulled over to the side of the road before the driver even knew that there could even know that there was something going on, which was a wrong way driver being chased by police on their side of the road. And the car pulled over, put on
Okay.
the brakes and pulled over before the driver even knew that that was happening.
But what about the cases where there's emergency vehicles on the shoulder of the road? And this is the case that you hear more often than not when it comes to Teslas in autonomous or full self-driving mode. And for whatever reason, they don't really believe that there's an emergency vehicle parked on the shoulder of the road. And well, they tend to believe it once they hit it and it's stopped. Okay. So what about those circumstances? I mean, literally, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday where I was reading an article about a Tesla that ran into the back of a fire truck. A fire truck.
So
Okay.
somehow that is oddly common.
Well,
There's something with a fire truck. I admit that. Like, I'm not saying that we're there yet, but I
okay.
do wholeheartedly admit that fire trucks in particular, not police cars, not ambulances.
Yeah.
There's something about a fire truck, and I don't know if it's the length of it, and because I heard once that the Tesla is seeing it as a billboard in the road. And so
Okay.
it thinks you're just going to go underneath the billboard, and it just slams into fire trucks.
Oh,
That much I did. I know I'm supposed to debate you on this, but
yeah.
that's a real one. Like, that's a real issue that I think Tesla is maybe not seeing enough of, because there are many issues reported of specifically fire trucks and Tesla. I
Well,
don't see them ramming into much else, but that one, I don't know what that is.
so could we agree that perhaps much like many drivers out there, especially young drivers, new drivers, that perhaps the full self-driving mode or autonomous modes are not mature enough yet in their development to to rely upon. Much like, I mean, because last time I checked, you correct me if I'm wrong, but last time I checked, if you're a new driver, and for men and boys, it's if you're a young, inexperienced driver, typically you have to reach the age of 25 before insurance companies think you have enough experience where they'll begin to lower your insurance rates. So shouldn't we treat the immaturity of the autonomous driving systems the same way we treat these young, new, inexperienced drivers?
Well, Ray, I absolutely adore it when you tee me up without us ever discussing it ahead of time. Yes, we should. Yes, we
Okay.
should. And in a Tesla, I can't speak for everybody, but because I'm going to speak to Tesla because I know it the most.
Yes.
Um, so in a Tesla, it's called full self-driving beta.
Yes.
There's a B at the end that news articles like to leave out there.
Yeah.
In a Tesla, if you're using full self-driving beta,
Yes.
you have your hands on the wheel. If you take your hands off the wheel, it'll beep, it'll vibrate and say, you need to put your hands back on the wheel.
Yeah.
If you don't, it'll do it a second time. On the third time, it turns full self-driving off for the rest of your trip. You cannot reactivate it, because
Yeah.
the entire point of full self-driving beta is that we, the licensed drivers, are supposed to be teaching the vehicle how to drive. It is paying attention to everything. Now,
Yes.
there are people who make products to cheat this system. You hang it on the wheel so it thinks that there's a hand on there. There are
Yeah.
people who are out there and let's see, I know we had this one here. Uh, it makes you lazy. It definitely gives you a false sense of security, I think is definitely it. We've all seen the video. I think it was in San Francisco of the woman sleeping uh, with a Tesla. She had one of these cheat devices on the vehicle. Um, I have not used full self-driving, but I've used autopilot a little bit,
Uh-huh.
assisted steer, and I will say it's like super cruise control. And yeah, you definitely can get tired really quick because it starts, making sure you're in your lane and all that. So now you don't have your foot on the accelerator. Now you're sort of not paying much attention to the road, and falling asleep definitely can be something that I can see happening. This is
Hmm.
why I've never used full self driving, even when I rented cars that had it. I don't pay for full self driving on my vehicle because
Yeah.
I just don't want to do that right now. But the whole
Why?
point is
Because
that
is it because it's too immature?
yeah, well, for one, I'm not confident that I should be teaching a car how to drive.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I think I'm a pretty good driver. My safety scores on the Tesla app, I'm a 98% out of 100. So,
Okay.
it says I'm a pretty good driver, except that I take corners a little bit fast because I'm in a car that can corner really, really well.
Yeah.
So I do. Um, so other than that, but I still like, come on, look, I'm a human being. I get lazy. I've done stupid stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know that I need to be teaching a car. I certainly don't want to teach a car for $10,000. Um, but those who buy the full self-driving need to be teaching the vehicle how to do it. We've done everything we can on closed tracks, right?
Yeah.
Like self-driving on a closed track is easy. They'll stop at everything. They'll go through the weather and the rain and none of that's a problem. But I will tell you, I wrecked my first Model 3 by hitting a deer, and
Hmm.
I got a beep about half a second before the collision. There was no time for me to react, and the car certainly did not react. So I'm not saying that we're there yet, but I'm saying that if we're going to be teaching these vehicles, uh, we need to be doing it responsibly. And even right now, what do you know what the statistics per miles driven for autopilot versus non-autopilot are, Ray?
I can honestly say I do not. But I have a feeling in under 30 seconds, I will no longer be able to say it.
That's right. So the full self-driving autopilot goes about 6.5 million miles for every one accident. Obviously, that's not one vehicle.
No, I
That's all the vehicles.
understand.
Yeah. But for all those out there, we're
Yes.
not saying a Tesla has gone 6.5 million miles. So using non-autopilot, that number is 1.75 million miles per accident, and the
Yeah.
U.S. average is 500,000 miles for every accident.
Yes.
So, all vehicles. So all vehicles go roughly 500,000 miles for every accident, and a full self-driving computer goes 6.5 million miles per accident. And I think part of our trepidation on self-driving is I'm with you, Ray. It's been driving for a long time, and giving up that kind of control is like, I don't know. I don't like to be a passenger in a vehicle, let alone have the vehicle driving. Um,
Yes.
but I'll also there's the media component to this, right? It's it's like an airline crash, right? You hear about every single airplane that crashes, so you don't think it's the safest possible form of travel when it is. So every time an autonomous vehicle crashes and you hear about it, kind of
I
sets it off to make it seem worse to
I
me.
am I am I am not as concerned necessarily by the number of crashes. Okay. I how many times in San Francisco have they had issues with the cruise autonomous vehicles that just for whatever reason or another, they haven't crashed in the sense that they've run into something. They've crashed in the sense of a computer where it just stops working for no reason whatsoever. So, yes, that's not an accident. It's not a crash. It's just a computer crash where the whole damn system shuts down. Um, I'm more concerned with that.
Well, I mean, I won't even mention Chevy, um, but but as someone who has lived in San Francisco,
Yes.
I can assure you that a autonomous vehicle stopping in the middle of the road is about the least problems that you can have on the roads in San Francisco. The
Okay.
human drivers are much worse, and the streets are awful. But yes, I mean, I take your point that this has happened multiple times with the crews.
Yes.
I sure would like to know how many miles the crews drive in San Francisco all the time, and what percentage of that has been issues. Because again, I try to compare it to human driving, and human drivers in San Francisco make you want to get a bicycle,
No, I
uh,
understand.
except that you can't take those hills on a bicycle.
No. Yeah. Well, unless it's electrified.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless it's one of those e-bikes. But I get that. I mean, I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that human drivers are infallible. They are not. You experienced it on your nighttime drive from where you are to the LA area. I've experienced it any number of times that I've driven where I'll see somebody texting and I think to myself, well, damn it, the life they put in danger is not theirs. It's mine. I don't, at that point, I don't really give a damn about their life. I give a damn about what they could be doing or how they could be impacting my life. So yeah, I get as humans, we don't necessarily make real good drivers either because some of us have really, really, really short attention spans. But I think if we, as humans, cede more and more control of vehicles, and I know people out there will go, well, what about planes? Planes fly themselves, they have autopilots. Yeah, but they're not stacked up, four deep on a freeway on Monday morning rush hour. It's just, it's not set up the same way. So I'm concerned. I'm just concerned. I think many times we push the future into the present when it still should be in the future. And
Well,
that's what I see here.
but the future doesn't come without pushing it, right? And the future, I mean, we can't wait for self-driving to be perfected before we implement self-driving because it would never happen. We've already done it on all the closed tracks we can.
Yeah.
That came for years and years first. I drove in I think it was a canoe at Google once. We just went to visit the campus, and this vehicle van pulls up and we all get on and realize that there's nobody there, and it just takes us off, and we're just like, and this was like, I don't know, like 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
So that was a little nerve-wracking. We're like, what's going on? But and it makes you feel like you're in the future when you're at the Google campus. But that was on a closed track, and closed system. That was easy. It stopped for bicycles and did that whole thing.
Yeah.
But then there comes a time where you have to take it out to the real world, because the thing about closed tracks, and even if you're driving with other drivers on the closed track, they're always professional drivers, right? They're
Typically.
always, so they're not the guy watching a movie and texting, or the guy who's got a coffee in one hand, a donut in the other, driving with his knees down the road, which happens out in the real world. And the
Yes.
computers need to know how to deal with that.
Yes.
There's some of these we had that autonomous cruise that stopped because in the middle of an intersection, because a car that was turning was in a straight lane. It wasn't in a turn lane. So it all of a sudden turned when the computer was like, you're not supposed to do that. And so it stopped. And then
Yeah.
everyone's like, oh, look at the self-driving computer stopped in the middle of the intersection. Well, yeah, because the human driver did a dumb thing that it wasn't supposed to do. And there is some things I know. Tesla had to turn off the rolling stop in California because the car learned that you can just roll through a stop sign if there's nobody else there, which of
Yeah.
course is illegal. But we have said for a long time, and when autonomous came out, it was we have to teach it the customs of the road. Anyone who's driven in LA, I'll just use that one because I know that one,
Yeah.
knows that if you are going to turn left in LA, 90% of the time there is no turn signal. And you have to wait in the middle of the intersection until the light turns red. And then two more cars go
Mm-hmm.
while it's still red before
Yes.
you
No.
can turn.
Well,
So if an autonomous vehicle was following the law, you would create an enormous backup with it sitting at the line and then, oh, it's red, I'm not going to go. That car would never, ever turn.
no, I understand that.
So it gets weird when you have to do the customs of an area.
So how do you do that? I mean, how do you legitimately, how do you teach a computer to do that? Because that's what it boils down to. You're trying to teach a computer to actually absolutely mimic human behavior. So how does one go about teaching that? I know exactly what you're saying, or like you're on a 2-lane road and somebody's in the lane in front of you and they're going to make a left, and I'm pretty sure it's not necessarily legal to pull around to the right and go on the shoulder and go around them. I'm pretty sure the police, if they were behind you and they saw you do that, would then pull you over and ticket you for that. But that happens every day of the week. Okay.
Well, the good thing about autonomous driving is they don't pull over for the police, so you don't have to worry about that.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Now, aren't there in some vehicles, some of the manufacturers where with autonomous driving, or level 2 whatever the hell it is, where they actually have cameras or sensors trained on you, on your eyes or something, to make sure that you're actually paying attention to what's going on in your surroundings? I don't know, by maybe like looking out the windshield.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
So most autonomous vehicles have that. All Teslas have that. It's the enforcement of it though that
Yes.
comes into an issue, because a lot of people are. I know we had this comment here earlier, but they feel like a big brother is watching, which I get and I don't get. I'm like, yeah, I understand that. However, while we're trying to teach the vehicles and do this, and you're right, it's at level 2. We're not at level 5 autonomous driving yet. I don't know, nobody is yet. They're testing it, but
Uh-huh.
while we're training it and you're supposed to be focused on the road, you need to be focused on the road. And I think there's some validity to tracking your eyes and seeing that you're paying attention while you're supposed to be teaching this. What we don't want is people sleeping. But as again, we've seen all Teslas have this, so that the interior camera watching you to make sure. But then we've also seen the people sleeping in the Tesla or other things that have been broadcast on other channels.
Yes, yes.
That they
Yes.
have done in the car, and it doesn't seem to have stopped the car at all.
Okay.
So there are questions there on how it's being used.
I have a question for you, and I don't know how it relates, but I'm going to ask it anyway because that's just me. So let's assume that you have level 2, or eventually we get to level 5. Probably not in my lifetime, but eventually. let's say you just have level 2, because I've seen, I guess it's the GMC commercials where the guy and his family are in the truck and he's clapping his hands and we will rock you. Yeah, you're damn right. You're going to rock me when you run into the back of me. You're going to rock me. Okay. So how does, how are insurance companies looking at this? I'm
Well,
just curious. Have you heard any? I mean, and this is not to spark some other type of debate between you and
no,
I. I'm just curious as to what insurance companies think about this.
yeah, I agree completely. I personally have Tesla insurance, so I
Uh huh.
figure my vehicle's covered one way. Like they can argue among themselves whether it's the manufacturing division or insurance division covering it. I don't care. But you're right. I think we've all struggled with who covers it in an accident if self-driving. There's definitely the Asimov rules that we're trying to figure out. Um, Humans have to make life and death situations sometimes.
Yes.
Um, and if it's the life of the person inside the cabin or the life of the person outside the vehicle, which is the vehicle going to choose? And is there a right or wrong answer to that? I know we get up to this point of we've had one autonomous vehicle hit a human being
Okay.
already.
Yes.
And then we're all outraged and we go, well, humans hit humans
All the time.
every single day,
Yes.
probably at least every minute of every day, someone
Yes.
somewhere in the world is hit by a car with another human driving. But then we get very, very in an uproar uh, when it's a computer that has done it,
Yes.
and you kind of have to think, okay, so is the problem the computer? Is the problem us and our perception? What are we willing to accept in this whole scenario? I know one last thing before I let you respond. Um, One of Elon Musk's close friends said, you roll out autonomous driving, you could solve 90% of all the accidents in the world. The other 10% will sue you.
I like that, but I don't know that that's true. I think that's good PR. Yeah, no, autonomous yeah, absolutely. It'll solve 90%. I doubt that. Because computers have glitches. Software has glitches. Yeah. On the previous show with Zach, I couldn't figure out how to get my earbuds to work with OBS. You don't know what OBS is out there, folks, but that's the operating system we use so that we can do these broadcasts.
It's very buggy.
It
I have
well,
a hard time with it myself.
yes, but my point is that's normal with technology, with computers, with all these microprocessors and everything, and so I don't subscribe to the theory. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't subscribe to the theory that autonomous vehicles in the future will cut out 90% of the accidents. No, because you just don't know when there's going to be a computer glitch. You just don't know when there's going to be something buggy in the software. I mean, hell, when we switched over from YAA to CarEdge, we did not anticipate, and I say we like I was involved in fixing any of this stuff, and I wasn't. But the team did not anticipate all the issues that there might be. Okay, because I don't know, software was involved, coding was involved. So I don't see it. I see the potential, but I don't see humans actually abdicating their entire thought process to a computer to do it for them. That's just me.
But I will go back to 6.5 million miles driven
I
per
don't care.
accident.
I don't care.
So
That means nothing to me. That mean and the reason it means nothing to me is because until you have all cars on the road that are equipped the same way with the same technology, it doesn't give you accurate information. Let's see what happens if we were in a community that was all self-driving vehicles. Let's see how many damn accidents those computers actually have. Let's see that before we can look at the miles and try to extrapolate out of that how it's going to make the world so much better place to live in.
So I would like everyone to note the date and time that Ray is suggesting that all vehicles need to be autonomous driving so we can figure out the data. That
in
is great.
a small community of 10 people.
Well, we have that. I mean, that's pretty easy. There's actually a Tesla community here in California, down near LA, that's all electric only.
Yeah.
So they don't allow any internal combustion engines, and
And,
most of
and,
them have the Teslas.
and I would say this about statistics. Statistics lie, my friend. Okay. Liars figure and figures lie. It's just, I've seen it my entire adult life. You can spin figures and data however you want to spin them. So yes, for Tesla to say it's one accident in every 6.5 million miles driven, yeah, right. That's just me.
I mean, that's around the world. So that's in all kinds of different communities and all kinds of different driving traffic. Obviously, in the communities like Norway, where it's just a lot more Teslas and auto driving that's there. But then you have San Francisco and you have rural areas. So, it's sort of a mix. So, that could go either way. But I mean, what I hear you saying, Ray, is that there are lies, damn lies, and statistics.
And yeah, and so all three of those could be exactly the same.
Yeah.
Lies, damn lies, and statistics. Yes, I like that. Yeah.
Well, in fairness, Twain said that before I did. So, for me, autonomous driving is still in the beta, as it should be. But I think we're past a point of closed tracks, and we need to be out in the real world, and we need to know. I mean, hey, maybe it never works, but shouldn't we be testing it to see if it will work? And many people here have said, it's when all cars are self-driving, and I agree in that. Like, if they're all communicating. Right now, I do not believe my Tesla communicates with other Teslas, but shouldn't they? Or is that too much of a big brother reach? Do people not want the cars talking to each other? To me, I think my Tesla should speak to all other, like if I'm an autonomous, it should be all speaking to every other autonomous vehicle via some sort of very, very heavily encrypted communication.
Only if they talk nicely to each other, and and we would all be better off if we could figure out as humans how to do that. But that could be a discussion for another day.
Yeah. The one thing I will say that, to your point, Ray, that Elon Musk says he wants full self-driving to be as good as the average human driver. To which I say, oh, please, God, no.
Yeah.
It needs to be much better than that. I've driven on the road. That is a really low bar. We need to set it above that.
I agree with you 100% on that, because if the bar is for it to just be like an average driver, I don't want to be I don't like being on those roads now. I certainly don't want to be on those roads then if it's all autonomous vehicles driving like just an average driver, because most average drivers drive below average.
Yeah. Yeah. Certainly worse than I do. That's for sure.
Yes.
At least that's how I feel when I'm on the road.
Not knowing how you drive, I can't necessarily agree with that statement, but I get the gist of what it is you're trying to say.
Yeah. Well, let's just say I have had an incident where I'm driving on the road and I have to politely correct somebody else who's in front of me. and my Apple Watch started calling 911 because it thought I had fallen and was having a heart attack. So
Okay.
I may not be the most patient driver on the road. Well, I think when your tech starts telling you to relax while
Mm,
you're driving,
yes,
um, maybe I am a poster case for full self-driving, so I'm
perhaps.
not behind the wheel. I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm pro full self-driving, because
It could
maybe I
be.
shouldn't be. Uh,
As much as I might be against it, it doesn't really matter that I'm against it because at some point in the future, that is the future.
yeah, I think it is the future. I think it's, and we're in a transition period. Ray, how many transition periods have you lived in your life?
No, I don't know.
You've seen.
I'll be 72, so I'm sure it's probably been at least a half a dozen.
So yeah, so
Yeah,
the space race, right? You
yeah,
got that one, and then you
yeah,
got the personal computer. You
yeah.
got the
Oh, come on.
smartphone.
You're forgetting color TV, my friend.
Oh, color TV. Yeah,
Yeah, you have no idea. That was like when somebody woke up and said, "Oh, you can dial your own race." You can make people whatever you want to make them. Make them whatever color you want. Yeah. So yeah, I've been through a number of transitions.
when
Yes.
you were growing up, could you direct dial people, or did
Uh,
you have to get an operator?
no, I'm not that old.
Okay,
But
wasn't I
but
would.
yeah, we
Well,
had a
I
rotary.
don't know what time frame that was
Yeah,
that
yeah, we had a
shift made it.
rotary phone. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I
And then
had a
and then the
rotary
big
phone,
deal
so
was
yeah,
when it became push button phones.
yeah,
But the rotary phone was fun. If you showed somebody a rotary phone today, if you showed a kid a rotary phone today and you told them to call somebody, they wouldn't know what the hell to do.
yeah. So I mean, I wonder that in that I would think, as someone who's gone through all the adoptions that you've
Yes,
gone through, that
yes.
you'd be more inclined to go, yeah, let's try this, let's do this. You've seen so much innovation in your lifetime.
And I know this has nothing to do with the electric channel. Can I share with you the worst innovation in human history?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Please do.
Yes, social media. There is
Yeah.
nothing social about social media. It's really anti-social media. It's this is not a way to communicate with people by texting with them. That is not having a conversation. Okay. So the worst invention of humankind, social media. It has allowed us to become a society where we can scream at each other anonymously and we can rage because, well, people won't necessarily know who we are. Hate social media. So there's a transition that everybody's hooked on that was not necessarily good for society.
Yep. And this person watching YouTube right now agrees
Yeah,
with you, Ray.
look at that.
Uh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, there you have it. That could be the
As,
next channel.
it's an interesting take to take on a social media platform.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That's how I feel. What can I tell you? I mean, literally, and don't take this wrong, and I don't want anybody in the audience to take this wrong, but think about it. I'm 72 years old, okay, or soon to be 72 years old. I am just an average person, okay, of hopefully average intelligence. And because of social media, I have a reach to people out there. Why? I don't know why. Why would anybody listen to me? Why should anybody listen to me? Why should my opinion be any more valuable than anybody else's opinion? Okay. It's social media that has allowed that to happen. And that is, in my opinion, and believe me, the company makes a lot of money off of YouTube and they reinvest all that money back into CarEdge. But why should that be? Why? I mean, why? What makes me so damn special? Nothing.
Well, so I will use your argument against you, Ray.
Okay.
Because of social media, we get to hear people like Ray with all of his years of experience and wisdom. We know we agree or we disagree with him. We get to hear it. We get to hear what's on his mind, unfiltered, mostly kind of sort of unfiltered.
Yeah.
Definitely there's a filter there, guys. But mostly unfiltered. We get to hear his opinion through all of his years of experience and knowledge. And social media has allowed that to happen. Ray, in 30 years, when you have passed on by a couple of years, uh, we will still be able to go back and hear your thoughts and perspective and see things. And that is completely invaluable. That is something that no previous generation was ever able to do. And we're going to be able to hang on to that knowledge and that perspective for decades. And that is absolutely amazing. And while I don't often defend social media, because I'm a Gen X, I'm not super pro. I don't dance. I'm not a teen dancing on TikTok or anything. Um, but there's a huge upside. I will also say personally that most of my family's back in Boston. I communicate with them exclusively via social media. I FaceTime with my mother. I, you know, there are some huge benefits that have come out of this. Are we all the way there yet? No. Have we? I think it's a technology that, like all technology, maybe we weren't ready for. You know, Einstein gives us the theory of relativity. We create a nuclear bomb. Like, right? So, you know, maybe we're not always ready for technology to come along, and we have to learn how to be more mature with it. I think that's where we are now. You know, as Ashley, one of our amazing car coaches here, says, you know, keyboard bullying, that's a real issue.
Yes.
When I was in school, I got bullied all the time. Not a big surprise. You know, I was a drama nerd, still am. I got bullied, but at the end of the day, I got to go home and I got away from it.
Yes. And today you can't.
And my kids didn't get that opportunity. My daughter in particular, it was social media and it was messages constantly, you know, until we had to delete the messages and do all that. And it was a constant, never ending thing. And kids have to learn we have to learn how to have kids deal with that. And I don't know that taking away their technology is the answer to that, because the technology is not going away.
So if I hear you correctly, you're saying to a certain degree, some aspects of social media, like I've said, may be bad for us, and other aspects of social media may actually have value for us, and that, as in all things human, we need to figure out how to utilize it in a better way.
Everything in moderation, right, Ray? Isn't that what they used to say?
Yeah, well, most things in moderation.
Okay. A little bit of arsenic here and there, you know, maybe not. Okay, heard on that. Okay, well, we are way over our time. I'm sorry. You know, I can talk to Ray forever. No, not your fault at all. So thank you very much, everyone, for being here. We will be back on Wednesday, where we will be talking with Mr. Mario himself.
Oh, cool.
AKA Space in the Community. And we will be talking about, I did not choose the subject, Ray. Mario did, about how the dealership model is the perfect model.
Ooh, I can't wait for that discussion.
Yes. So tune in on Wednesday for that discussion, where Mario will be taking up the defense for the dealerships. And I, of course, as always, will be taking up the Tesla direct-to-consumer model. And Ray, having been a dealer for most of his life, will be the most informed one of all of us.
I might have something to add.
I feel like so. So thank you for being here, everyone. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Justice. Great job today. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.